Hey my friend, welcome to Project Unchained. Today I want to talk about the power of perspective. Perspective is huge and it can make such a massive difference on the way that we go out and experience the world, and it's really powerful. It's made a powerful impact on my life and I want to share it with you. Let's start with, I want to have you draw a box. If you have to pause it, that's fine, or if you have a pen and pencil, that's great to do it like that. If you got to do it in your mind, that's okay. But let's start. Draw a box. How many of you drew this? That's not a box, that's a square. Don't worry though, most people start out that way. I know I did too, I drew a square at first. So now let's change that square into a box. How do you draw a box? That's a box. Now, how many sides does that box have? A lot of times, a lot of people will say 6, but that's kind of a cube. If we take it as a box and we open it up, there's 6 sides on the outside and 6 sides on the inside. That's 12 sides that that box has. And it's going to change depending on what your perspective is. Where are you looking at that box? And it all will change depending on what side of the box that you're looking at. And that's massive. It changes. Those sides of the box, those different perspectives of that box, equate to the perspectives of our life. Any given situation, any given event, any moment in our life always has multiple perspectives that we can look at and hold and consider. A really good quote that I like from Lanny Basham's Freedom Flight book. Your environment is not your reality. Your perspective of your environment is your reality. So the way in which you see things is going to create and shape your reality. It's not necessarily about the things, it's about how you view those things. That changes your reality. The way that played out for me a lot, for many, many years, I held this unhealthy perspective, this limiting perspective of all these things happened to me. And all these people, all the bullies that picked on me and teased me, they all owed me an apology. All these people owed me something because it hurt my feelings. And I had to shift it from all that stuff happened to me to it happened for me. From that space, from that place, I could start to make steps forward and I could start to unpack some things. What did those experiences teach me? Viktor Frankl's book, A Man's Search for Meaning, talks about this a lot. Viktor Frankl is a Holocaust survivor. He was in concentration camps during World War II for multiple years. And he went on to write the book, Man's Search for Meaning. In short, what he talks about in there is you don't need suffering to have purpose. But if you are suffering, if you are going through a hardship, you have to find the meaning behind that. What is that suffering doing? What is it teaching you? What is it gifting you? That hardship, that adversity is preparing you for something. When we do this, we stop waiting for somebody else to do it. We stop waiting for somebody else to apologize. We stop waiting for somebody else to change it. And we move forward. We take responsibility of those things and we create it. That is a place of empowerment. And that's how we break free from that limitation. Perspectives can be limited, especially if we hold one perspective. If we can only see one side of that box, that's a very limited perspective. It's important that we're able to look at and hold multiple different perspectives about any one thing all the time. We need to be able to consider multiple perspectives. Now, it's important to understand that just because you change or consider a different perspective, that doesn't mean that what you believe is wrong. You don't have to change a belief system. You don't have to change the way you go about your life. It's just a matter of considering other perspectives, considering maybe how your perspective might limit your experience, how your perspective may shut you off from connecting with other people, or how another person can have a different perspective than you. And neither one of you are wrong because of it. When we have that ability to look at and consider that, we create connection with people. And that's really important. We are socially hardwired creatures. Our brains are wired for social connection. That's really important. It's like a survivalist thing. When we have strength in numbers, we feel we can survive better. There's a lot of it that goes behind it. There's a lot of depth that goes into social connection. That'll be another time. Regardless, perspectives. It's really beneficial. I'm a huge fan of the book Life is Magic from John Dorembos. John Dorembos was a long snapper in the NFL for 15 years. He was on America's Got Talent. He does magic card tricks And he's got an incredible story. Like, this man has done some amazing things in his life and has come from some incredible hardships. When I read it, the first time I read it, I was on a flight to Columbus, Ohio for the Arnold Sports Festival, and I literally cried on the plane while I read the first 4 chapters. It is emotional. It is some insane stuff to think that young John Dorembos had to endure some of the things that he had to endure. And through a lot of therapy and a lot of care, John was able to grow and heal from those events. I love his quote: "You can either live a life of vision or you can live a life of circumstance." And it's a choice. Whichever one you want to do, you choose, you own. And John chooses to live a life of vision. And I find that really inspirational. I also choose to live a life of vision. I want to be able to visualize multiple perspectives. I want to be able to see different things, how they can all intertwine and play with one another, so that I don't have a limitation in my life because of perspective, because I'm limited and have a narrow perspective. I used to do that. That used to be a big part of my life, and no longer do I wish for that to be a part of my life. My challenge for you today, I want you to start finding ways to consider different perspectives. For me, one of the things that really helped was to journal about it. Get that journal out again. Write about a perspective that you have. Consider ways that it may be limiting your life. What does it serve you? Where does it limit you? What other alternative perspectives exist around that idea or that concept that you're talking about? When we intentionally take a moment to consider those things and ask ourselves some questions about those perspectives, we can increase the awareness around that perspective. We can increase the awareness of what other perspectives are possible. And when we bring in that idea of multiple perspectives, we expand. And that expansion is the act of breaking free from those limitations, from breaking free from those figurative chains that hold us back in life. And that's what we're here to do. We want to break them things and get them out of our life. I appreciate you taking time to join me here today for the video. Please do like it, subscribe to the channel, reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you. Y'all have a great day.